board games are so much fun, right?
Wrong, absolutely wrong. They absolutely suck when you're paired up against some really competitive player who just wants to win all the time, or the troll who uses every turn just to fuck up your game plan, or the social alpha that doesn't even let you decide what to do on your turn, or the rage quit that flips the table just before your turn, or the player that just complains about everything. Ask yourself, are you one of these people?
Well, I think you might be alienating people. Let me tell you how to make board game friends the right way. Now, before God tier board gaming can actually commence, you of course need to start your own board game group. And there's some good ways of doing this, and there's some really bad ways of doing this too. Now, if you happen to have a local game store near you, that should totally be the first point of call to find a board game group. Chances are they already have an established group there, and they may even run specific events for exactly this. Expos are another awesome place to meet board gamers. The biggest one we have here in the UK is UKGE, and it's absolutely huge. It's just packed with gamers there just wanting to play board games all day long. The thing is, I found actually the smaller ones probably work a little bit better. The reason is I think people are just a little bit friendlier there, and they're just a bit more welcoming for you to join a group. There's one in particular I really want to recommend, and that's Aircon. And that's our very own board game expo that we have here in Yorkshire. No, it is not a joke convention for air conditioning units. It is actually one of the best board game conventions I've ever been to. And there's one particular reason for it. They have the most accepting and awesome system to get new players to come and play games with you. You get a lightsaber and you place it on your table and you light it up, and that lets people know that you want people to come play games with you. There's no awkward walking around saying, hey, can I join this game? And then that feeling of being uncomfortable when somebody says no. You just look around and there's bound to be people that are asking you to come play games with them. It's awesome, it's so friendly, and it's so welcoming. But yeah, okay, the lightsaber is a little bit of an odd choice, but the idea is amazing. Please, other expos, adopt this system. It's an awesome system, please.
That sounds really cool, Fez. But what if you don't have an LGS near you? What if you find expos a bit too intimidating? I actually met my first board game group on Facebook when I first got into the hobby. But it wasn't the smoothest of journeys. I was just getting into board games at the time, and I was very eager to play board games with people who weren't Fez.
What's wrong with that? I didn't want to play with you.
So we jumped onto Facebook, and it was literally Enter City Here board game group, and we found loads across the country, but there was one specific to the place we lived in Keighley. So the day came and I ventured down to the pub to meet the group. I was actually really nervous. It's terrifying meeting a whole new group of people, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's gone through this. I had so much going through my head. What if they didn't like me? What if they were mean? When I finally arrived there, I realized that this pub wasn't too used to South Asian people like myself. Like, I don't know how to say this, but everyone was looking at me, like staring at me when I walked through that door. I also think the board game group might have been slightly shocked too to see me. There isn't that much representation of South Asians in board game circles, especially in the north of England, as I came to find out. I was feeling ever so slightly uncomfortable at this point. But you know what? I let it pass and I sat down and I just played some games. Once the tension passed, that day I made some amazing friends. Some I still consider some of my closest. I don't have many friends, to be honest with you, so. The first appearance is always uncomfortable. Whether you're South Asian, trans, or just different in some way, there is a chance you will be judged. It's the truth. But give people a chance, and they'll probably give you a chance too. Equally, you can keep trying with the group and you might just find that it just doesn't work for you and you just don't gel with them. Don't take anything personal from this. Just try again with a different group. Chances are there'll be a better fit somewhere out there for you. And you know what? If that doesn't work for you, let's try this other thing out. Engineering a group.
Creating your own group? Now that's a whole nother kettle of fish. But what it does get you is control of exactly how you want your group to be. Do you want your group to be as large as possible and cater for absolutely everyone? Or do you want to handpick everyone in your group? It's up to you. Big groups have so much excitement to them. Just being surrounded by people who want to play games, it's thrilling and it's super exciting. But there's some issues with it. You have to consider, are you comfortable with having people there that are much older than you and much younger than you? Have you considered the venue you're going to be using? You're just not going to have the same level of control that you would in a smaller group. After running an LGS for 3 years, I can say comfortably that it's a lot of work involved in arranging big groups. People usually arrive there and they expect somebody to be a host, somebody to greet them, somebody to welcome them, make them feel comfortable. You're probably going to be that person if you're arranging the events. So be prepared for host etiquette to apply here, And we're going to come back to that later in the video. In all my experience of running these large events, the host actually does not get to play many games at all because they are being the host. Just be sure that this is what you want.
Now, if it was down to me, I would tailor a smaller group of like-minded people. You just get to play way more games that you actually want to play because everyone's kind of on the same wavelength. Looking for a night of chilled out, lightweight filler games? Make a group for it. Equally, if you want to tailor a hardcore D&D group, you can also make a group for that. All right, so here's how I did it. After attending our local board game group, I figured out who my favorites among the group were. Half the group just wanted to play herd mentality all day long. Look, I don't have anything against party games. You know, nah, I hate them. I hate party games. They fucking suck, especially games like that. I can't stand games like Cards Against Humanity. That's just not the way I roll. I mean, it's not even funny, man. I need some crunch in my games. I would take Terraforming Mars over Muffin Time any day of the week. So what I did, I created a small WhatsApp group and only invited my favorites from among them. But that was just the first step. So in our first meeting, we all got together, played a few games, and I realized one of them didn't like Euro games. So I had a genius plan. Wait for it. I made another WhatsApp group without him. Clever, right? I knew I was onto something with this. So we played again the next week, and Fairs just kept winning and winning and winning. So I made another WhatsApp group, and he wasn't in that one. The week after that, one of the players had a bit of a BO problem. So I made another WhatsApp group, and he didn't know about this. I know, my genius absolutely amazes me sometimes too. I kept doing this until finally I had the perfect WhatsApp group. In fact, let me show you. Hold on a minute. It's just me in the group now. I guess I could play Gloomhaven solo. Who's that?
Oh, it's no one. Picking the right game is integral to your game group. You have to be realistic when doing this. I remember I tried really hard once in our board game group to get everyone to play a trading card game called Vampire: The Eternal Struggle. So let me sell it to you. Basically, you play as an ancient vampire in the world of Vampire the Masquerade. It sounded amazing to me. And that was the problem. It literally just sounded amazing to me and no one else. So it came to game night and I sat everyone down and tried my best to explain the rules and really immerse everyone in this universe. But no matter how hard I tried, I was just getting no reaction from my group. Nobody was even slightly interested in playing this game. Like, everyone was yawning, and I swear I saw a tumbleweed roll past. And then Sar just turned to the group and he's like, hey, does anyone want to play Dune Imperium? And everyone was like, yes, let's play Dune Imperium. And they just chucked my box aside.
The Eternal Struggle was listening to you talk about it.
Now, in hindsight, I probably should have just found a different group to play it with. I should have found somebody who was probably into MTG or something like that, rather than people who are looking to crack open the next big Euro game. The moral of the story is that you have to cater to your audience when you're running these groups. If your group is mostly made up of new members, why not try something like an icebreaker game? My personal favourite genre for this is social deduction, stuff like Werewolf. I think it works perfectly to get people interacting with each other. My personal favourite in this genre though is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It's the best of its kind. It gets people pointing fingers at each other and it gets people laughing. It's awesome. There's something about that genre of games that just gets people so immediately comfortable with each other. Also, they're really light on rules. If somebody's new to board games, they'll be able to play this immediately.
But what if the group is made of total introverts? No one to start all the fights and make everyone point fingers at each other. Then expect social deduction games to have a whole lot of silence. And I mean the uncomfortable type.
Once the group becomes a little bit more established, I would highly recommend playing a campaign or legacy style game. Sometimes these can be a slow burn, but I played so many at this point that I can say with confidence that they are well worth your time. I remember when our group played through Pandemic Legacy Season 1, there were so many ups and downs through that campaign and we experienced it together. It was like we'd been to the moon and back. We always have that moment when we see each other. We'd never say out loud, but we know we're all thinking, shit dude, remember that insane journey we went on through that campaign? It's almost like you bonded with those people on a level that you just can't achieve from any other form of media. Running a D&D campaign can be similar, but the dynamics for it are slightly different. You'll need yourself a games master, and many RPGs can be pretty taxing in terms of rules. But that group experience is just unmatched.
Now, I'm not afraid of complex games, but shoving a BGG 4 out of 5 complexity rated game in front of someone who's never played a Euro game before, they're going to run for the hills and they're probably never going to return. Now, I can get pretty competitive when it comes to playing board games, don't get me wrong. Me and Fez, we've had a couple of occasions where we've broken out into full-on arguments over board games, not agreeing on certain rules or how the game scores. Looking back at those times now, we were both probably being a bit ridiculous. It was probably mostly Fez, to be honest with you. He always thinks he's right. Look, the point is, if you have people like Fez in your group, you might want to reconsider whether competitive games are right for you. Or just don't invite Fez to your group. What's more important to you, your friendship or winning?
Winning!
Cooperative games, they might work better. But if you have that one really annoying, extroverted person, doesn't let anyone else speak and makes all the decisions, yeah, no one's coming back to that group.
In the world of social gatherings, particularly games night, the host plays a crucial role. Here we observe Faz, a good host. Faz has learned the game beforehand, ensuring a smooth and enjoyable experience for all participants. Faz is willing to answer questions, guiding players with patience and understanding. Here we observe Saad, pressuring guests into playing games they do not wish to engage in. The spirit of the evening should be one of mutual enjoyment. Furthermore, Saad is being overly strict with rules, isolating his players. Flexibility and fun should be the guiding principles of the night. As a player, there are several guidelines to ensure the evening runs smoothly. Faz avoids placing drinks on the table, especially without a coaster, as board games are often expensive and sometimes irreplaceable. Should an accident occur, be prepared to offer compensation. Maintaining good hygiene is essential. Ensure you are fresh and clean, unlike Saad here, who didn't have a shower prior to the event. Bringing food to share is a kind gesture when invited to someone's home. Saad hasn't considered the group and is eating alone. Bringing 4 slices of pizza solely for personal consumption is frowned upon. Saad is moping and displaying dissatisfaction as he does not enjoy this particular game. This has dampened the mood for everyone. Faz instead has abstained from committing to it in the first place. Be a good host and a good player. Be like Faz. Don't be like Saad.
Okay, this video has been pretty negative so far, but I can assure you, not all of the videos on this channel are quite like this. Why not like and subscribe? Leave us a comment below of your experiences setting up a board game group. Did you find it difficult? Did you find it easy? Tell us about your stories. Also, if you haven't heard, Gathering Games is a retailer of all things tabletop games and board games. Why not support the channel and click the link in the description below and pick up your next board game purchase from us. Anyway, I've had some pretty shitty experiences setting up board games, so I just want you guys to have a better time than I did. Tabletop gaming, unlike video games, is so centered around the gathering of people. It's what makes it so special compared to other gaming hobbies. But equally, you need to know how to manage people. People have motives, desires, needs, different mental states and different personalities. And all of these will ultimately impact the experience you have. So there's a person who comes to my store. For the sake of this story, let's just call him Luke. Luke is definitely on the autistic spectrum. He comes to my store every Friday without fail to come and play Magic with us. Often gets involved with conversations with people without being invited, and talks beyond that point of comfort. I admit I've been really guilty of dismissing him time after time. I suppose I get frustrated when he just doesn't really understand the social cues that we have when we're like, hey, this is kind of beyond the point of comfort, or we should move this conversation onwards. In fact, there's other people of the Friday Night Magic that come up to me afterwards and complain about the exact same issues about Luke. I suppose it's really hard for me as an LGS owner to really figure out the right thing to do at this point. Luke isn't a bad person, nor was he being rude to anyone. I wasn't really sure if I had the right to say anything to him. I really questioned myself. Was I just being too judgmental towards him because he was different from us? Anyway, the more Luke kept coming back to my shop, the more I got to know him as a person. Every now and then, there'd be a moment in his actions that I'd see his true colors come out. But there was one occasion in particular that entirely changed my opinion about him. So let me set the scene for you here. We were doing a team draft of Magic the Gathering in our shop on the Friday. We were paired up and we each had 3 booster packs. We were going to crack open the booster packs and we were going to build decks, and then as a team we were going to battle against another team. I was of course matched up with Zard, but Luke was matched up with another random player. Each team has 6 packs in total, with each member of the team contributing 3 booster packs each. The team collectively cracks open their 6 booster packs, but each individual team member will keep the cards in their 3 packs. Now we agree this beforehand, so there's no arguments as to who took what card, because in Magic the Gathering, if you haven't played it before, sometimes you can be a winner, sometimes you can be a loser, depending on what exactly you're going to open up in your booster pack. Sometimes you'll get the most expensive card in the set, but sometimes you'll just get absolute trash and no value. Once we built all the decks, we were going to battle together as teams in this epic tournament. The tournament started and everyone cracked open their booster packs. Me and Sarah didn't get anything particularly valuable, and then suddenly I heard a scream across the table and I looked across and it's coming from Luke's team. He cracked open a pair of the most valuable cards in the whole set. It was an epic moment. We went through the tournament and it was an absolute great night. Everyone had so much fun. But as we were packing up, I saw something. I saw Luke holding the pair of cards that he cracked from his packs. He looked across to his teammate, who didn't really crack anything of any decent value from his packs. He went up to him and he said, "Hey, you can keep this card." And he gave him one of the most valuable cards in the set to keep. I saw his teammate's face light up. I guess it hit me at that moment how unfair I was being to Luke this whole time. He was actually a really kind person deep down, and he just displayed the most epic feat of generosity I'd ever seen in a person. You know what? Whenever we played games with him, he was actually just the best sport ever. I guess he was just a bit misunderstood. We really owed it to ourselves to give him a chance. And I'm glad we did. Tabletop games have a huge representation of people who the general public might see as weird or different, like myself. Sometimes it's related to mental health, sometimes it's sexuality, ethnicity, or culture. But it is those different people that make it such an enriching hobby. Let those people get involved in your game nights. 1, because they're good people, but 2, also because it will grow you as a person. It will make you more accepting and more kind. Lots of those weirdos that I invited to my own board game groups have become my absolute best friends of all time. And we've had some epic board game moments. I've even made a video about it that you can watch right here.